All right, guys, what's up? I'm joined here with Jeff Oetting. He is a recent Ironman finisher. What do you call yourself?
Good morning. Well, I asked my wife to call me King, but Ironman works as well too.
That's awesome. And I asked Jeff to be on here, and you guys I've never actually said his name, Jeff Oetting, but like over the summer, whenever I had mentioned, like, if you ever want to be part of somebody's life or you want to get to know somebody, you kind of just got to interject yourself into their lives. And that's kind of what I did with Jeff. I knew he was training for this Ironman, and I was like, well, I want to know this guy. Like, I'm kind of inspired by this story, this 50-plus-year-old guy, like, now just training to be an Ironman. I'm like, I want to hear what started this all. And so I accidentally said, hey, if you ever need help on one of these long runs, I'm more than happy to do it. And he reaches out to me on one of the 20-mile runs, and I was like, oh, geez, because I hadn't ran that much in a while, but we did it. We did it early. What time was it? Like 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning we left?
Yeah, that sounds right. I mean, that's what I prefer is the early morning. It was a God thing because that week I had been struggling with a really bad swollen ankle, and there's always thoughts and temptations to justify not doing it or doing less. And you reached out, I think the Wednesday of I was going to do that run on Sunday.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, this is from God. He's helping me out here. And you were able to, you have the gift of gab, as you know, and you were able to talk me through it, so I wasn't looking at my watch all the time. And no. The funniest thing is, I think that I'm not sure if it was that run or the next run, but I feel like it was that run that we had the police go down the path and just make sure we weren't up to anything.
Yeah, I remember that. I was like, why are there police officers driving down this random road at 5 in the morning, 4 in the morning? That was strange, but
it was on the bike path between Charleston and Mattoon, and I guess we were just about to hit the underpass of 57 in Mattoon, and I don't know, maybe they thought we were smuggling drugs or something, but
well, I wasn't. I don't know about you, but
we weren't moving that fast. That's for sure.
That's true. But I appreciate you taking the time, and I guess one of the reasons I wanted to have you on here to talk with you was like, you decided at this age to make this choice to do this Ironman. And we had spoke before, and you said, earlier in your life, it was maybe a little bit of a dream, but you thought that dream had passed. Like, what caused it to still, I feel like that fire was still in your belly. Like, you deep down wanted to accomplish one, but like, what happened? You were like, I think this ship has sailed. At what age were you when you like kind of said, I think this ship has sailed, and what brought it back to life?
Sure. You've got the backdrop on everything in our family is we're very competitive, we're very athletic. And so I had two of my oldest kids. I have 3 kids total. But, we spent many summers doing kid tries and then the sprint tries. And that was all, say, 2004 through maybe 2000. It was early on when they were from my son was 4 years old to he was 12, basically, and he's 22 now. And so, we were doing that in the summer. We had an RV. It was kind of a family thing. It was more not about the racing, although we were highly competitive because we were training and nobody else, trains when they show up to this stuff.
Yeah.
The kid stuff is just for fun, and but they had a lot of success and went to nationals and had success there, and so that the idea was for self-esteem and confidence. But I also was doing the Chicago try. I think that my last try was 2008 for me, and I got a blood clot, so now I've been on blood thinners ever since, and it's just a blood deficiency that my DNA from my parents. I have what's called a Leiden factor 5. It just means that I'm prone to getting blood clots, and so then I'm on a blood thinner, and so that kind of pulled back. Kids got older and got into junior high and high school, where you got competitive sports, and there's camps. I mean, the COVID has done a blessing because I think it's allowed families to reunite and spend more time together.
For sure.
And, prior to that, you'd go from one camp to another, one sport to another. The kids' days, your whole life is focused on your kids when you're doing it, I think, right.
Oh, for sure.
And so all my dreams of athletic competition, therefore the Ironman, it was just tabled and it was put on hold. And then, came 30 pounds or whatever, or a few pounds, let's say that. And you get away from it, and you start thinking, well, gosh, 17-hour race, 15-hour race is what my goal was, and I did it in. But I mean, that's a long day, and there's issues, when you get older that, hey, can my body, really handle this? And so it was only what motivated me, what got me back to even. I had just written it off, quite honestly, and was content with that.
Yeah.
Because we got into CrossFit. That's been wonderful. I'm 3+ years now. Cody's been just a godsend. I only wish I found, CrossFit 15 years earlier.
Yeah.
But I like the diversification of endurance sports. I like the triathlon with the 3 elements. So I always was going to probably tinker around with the small races, a sprint you can do in 40 minutes. And, you can do that on an early Saturday morning and get back home and your wife doesn't hardly even know you were gone.
Yeah.
But when it's local. But, the Ironman is something that my son had said, hey, I think I'm interested in this. Again, he had a history as a kid, and he's very athletic, and he was going to do it with another midshipman. He goes to the Naval Academy, and so I thought, okay, great, we're going to absolutely be there, and as a fan and support you. And that was in November, and then by January, just a year ago, I started thinking, well, why am I going to be a fan? I hate watching people play sports. I like participating. And so then the goal was just to finish, just to try to make, the cut. And started in January, found books. I probably have about 13 books. So if anybody wants to borrow books, I gave you that one book that I got another copy of. It's kind of the holy grail if you want training logs. It's really good.
Yeah.
And wrote out a log using the books. I did 6 races before the Ironman last year. So some of those were indoors, 30, 40 minutes. Some of them were sprints, and one was the Olympic. And I think to do it right, somebody should work their way up. That helps with confidence, transitioning from the swim to the bike and bike to the run. I had heard of somebody after the Florida Ironman who's boasting or saying they did no training and they did the Florida Ironman. But, this was somebody in their 20s and somebody pretty fit. I think. Yeah. A really good runner to start with. And that's one way to go. But in your 50s, I'm 53. And so that's my heart, my legs, my hips, my ankles. It was bad enough. I took about a month to recover. I took 2 days before I could get to the bathroom to piss on my own.
No kidding. Oh man.
My wife was literally helping me in the bed in the condo as we had purposely reserved an extra week to kind of enjoy Florida and for me to recover. But I had really bad blisters and could not put any weight on my feet. And then just everything was sore. My body was kicking back.
Oh man. And so for anybody that doesn't know what an Ironman is, what's an Ironman consist of?
Yeah, so it's 2.4 mile swim, and in Florida, that's in the ocean, in the Gulf there, and so that can be very calm actually, or it can be extremely wavy. And in our particular morning, it decided to be really wavy. And so I've showed some people the pictures of it, but it was 10-foot waves, and that's a little discouraging, because with COVID, you're wearing mask up until the point you're just about to cross the starting line. They use a chip, and so you go across the starting line with the chip, and it activates your chip. And then you throw away your mask. Well, you're getting in and you're swimming, and you kind of self-seed yourself, and you don't want to be too confident, right? Because you don't want people swimming over you.
Yeah.
Then it ends up you're swimming over other people, and as people are cramping or relaxing to take a breath and see where they're at, the waves are pushing them back, and then you're swimming into them. And so that was a little unexpected. That's something in the Midwest and Illinois you can't really, in the middle of the cornfields, you cannot train for.
Yeah.
Or at least I haven't figured that out. And but I'm a strong swimmer. That's probably my strongest element. And so I was able to get through that. It's 2 loops, 1.1 miles, or 1.2 miles, sorry. So it's 2.4 miles swim. It's a transition now because of COVID. They spread everything out. So you had a quarter of a mile run back to the transition. That's added time, added exercise.
Oh yeah.
And I guess probably a lot of Ironmans, because you're talking 3,000 to 4,000 athletes. I guess it probably is that way. This was my first one. It just, the local small events, everything's so close, and you don't waste any time in the transition. So my transition between the swim and the run and the bike, swim and the bike, was about 20 minutes.
Really?
I just had to catch my breath. I had to dry off and put on a shirt and take off the wetsuit and stuff like that. And so, an elite athlete, you're talking 3 to 4 minutes. So,
yeah.
You see a big difference there.
Oh, for sure.
And so then you go onto the bike, and the bike is 112 miles. You're most people, beginners are trying to get under 7 hours probably. I think I was 6 hours, 20 minutes or something.
Oh, nice.
So for my next one, that's my improvement can really be in the bike, I think. We did have really strong winds. That was causing the waves in the Gulf. We found it again in the bike, and it was the first 40 miles. Basically, you were in the headwinds.
That's got to be a little bit disheartening, doesn't it? A little bit discouraging.
It's disheartening. There was at least 25 flats tires that I saw. I'm sure there was more than that. A lot of people said there were a lot of rough stuff. It seems like about 80% of the flats were rented bikes. The Ironman has because people are flying in from all over the world, let alone all over the United States. And so they do, it's a price. This is not a cheap sport. And so for a price, you can have a really nice performance bike. But for whatever reason, there was commonality that a lot of those tires were getting flats. And
really?
Now they have a crew at that level. Your entry fee is around $800, and so they have a crew of several people on mopeds, and everything is GPS, so they know exactly where you're at. And so I gather that if a person on a bike stops for a while, the moped's coming out, and they're checking to see, and then they will help you fix the tires. You don't get that in any local race or smaller races. You have to do your own, and that's why they would advise. The books advise you to have spares to practice. Well, I'm not handy at all. I can barely change a light bulb. So I prayed and prayed and prayed that I would not get a flat. I did have the proper stuff, but I've never fixed a flat.
Yeah.
I've seen YouTube videos, but my plan was I was going to pull out my phone. I was going to check another YouTube video and I was going to figure it out. But I didn't know they had help. But thankfully my tires were good and got through that 112-mile bike. It is miserable. It really fatigues you because you get through those headwinds I talked about. Well, eventually you have that strong wind to your back. Well, now you're going 31, 32 miles an hour. And just because, you're like, I can't go slow now. I let the wind use me, but you're burning up your legs. And so my transition then, there were porta potties there when you got your bike in and then walking the bike all the way. Again, those transitions are really spread out because of COVID and because of so many athletes. But I think I took probably 40 minutes between the bike and the run. And my family, I had my wife, two daughters, and one of my daughter's boyfriend was there. And then my son who was unable to get off of the yard, so he was unable to do the Ironman from the Naval Academy because of COVID. But he was on Skype, and he was on Skype most of the day. And they're just, saying, "Come on, get out." And I'm like, let me have a little something to eat here. Let me relax. And then you go to the run, which is a marathon, so it's 26.2 miles. And I will say I'm in the back third, really, of all athletes at this point. And again, I'm proud that I finished right around 15 hours, but still. The run was not a run. The run was a jog to a walk to a crawl, to a walk then you're stopping at every rest area, which is about every mile, and you're getting hot chicken broth. They had pizzas, but I thought that wouldn't stay down. My appetite for the day was about 18 gel packs.
Really?
And an enormous amount of drinks.
That's funny. I know that you had sent me the link so we could follow you, and we were tracking you all throughout the day, and we saw you get caught up on something. We're like, did he quit? Is he injured? Like, what's going on with him? Like, there was 3 or 4 of us talking back and forth the entire day. So it was neat to watch it from our end too.
Yeah, well, great.
Yeah, that's
well,
awesome.
I mean, I hope everyone that's watching or will watch later will know that you publicly announced that you have interest in doing it, and I think that's the pressure a person needs. Is if I verbalize something, it's not because I'm boasting. I'm not trying to boast. I am trying to say, look, I got a 50-mile bike ride tomorrow, and if by saying it to someone, now I'm accountable.
For sure.
And I'm too much a man of my word that it's going to haunt me. If I've told someone, I got to go back to that person and say, you know what, something came up. I didn't do it. I told you I was going to do it. And I've never had to do that because I do it, but if I fail, I'm going to feel guilty, and I'm going to feel like I need to explain myself.
For sure. And you make a great point there. I think that we as men, as humans, anybody, doesn't matter if you're male or female, but whenever you say it out loud, or if it's a goal, and you say it out loud, it just makes it more real. And now you're accountable. To start the year, I asked on my Facebook page, what's one goal you're going to focus on? And now these people don't understand, but I got them by the balls now. Like, you guys are going to have to be accountable to all these goals that you set, because now you have it in writing. You said it out loud, but it seems like a lot of times when people set goals, initially when you first set a goal, like you're excited about it and you've already kind of felt that rush of accomplishing it. And, as well as I do, once you set that goal, and you can lose motivation pretty quick towards stuff. So,
I mean, just go to the common thing now that we're in January of the year, right? New Year's resolution. Everyone's made them. Everyone's failed at them. Everyone thinks about them. So I don't call them New Year's resolutions anymore. I just put out a training log, and I know how many times I'm going to do CrossFit, how many times I'm going to swim, how many times I'm going to bike, how many times I'm going to swim this week and run. And and then that's this week, and then I have the next couple weeks. Now I can alter them. I reserve, the right during January, February, March to kind of see how my body as I'm building my base. But at the same time, it helps me because it's in writing to have a skeleton to go to work with.
Yep. And that leads into one of my next questions was, with doing all this stuff, like how structured is your life? This group's called Structure You. I assume that with all this training you're doing, and let alone like this guy runs a business, multiple companies, and with the insurance business, and you got some real estate stuff like that. Like what kind of structure is in your life? Like, do you detail everything out throughout the day, like what you need to do?
Well, it probably would be better if I would. What I do is I just do segments. So my workout opportunity is before work, and
Yeah.
now being self-employed, that can be defined with some flexibility that not everybody has. But as you know, getting to know me in the last year, I'm a 2:30 to 3 a.m. person.
Yeah.
That means I'm going to bed early, but the best thing to me is having 4 hours of workout in and still making it to work by 8 or 8:30,
Yeah.
and having a full day, and then getting home, having a meal, and then I'm kind of shutting down.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people too, they think, well, I would be so tired if I got up that early and worked out. But I don't think people understand when you work out, it gives you more energy. Like you're not tired, like it gives you more energy throughout the day. And especially with your eating habits. I know you eat really well. Like when your eating habits are on point and you're working out, like you have more energy than most people at 53 years old, don't you think?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that that's something like, and for you to do this, I like to use the term too. Are you committed or just interested? Like when you made the decision and you said, I'm going to do this Ironman, like you're fully committed to that. You're not just interested. How many people set, New Year's resolutions or goals and they're just interested in them. And the next week I ask, didn't happen. So I think too, whenever you say something out loud, you better be fully committed to it.
Well, that speaks to a person's character. I really believe that. And, I'm full of flaws, and I've made a lot of mistakes in my life, but I've learned from those mistakes. And one consistent thing with me is the reason I verbalize things like I'm going to do an Ironman in Florida in November is because you tell enough people, and then fear motivates you to get up
Oh, yes.
when you don't want to get up, and fear of failing, because I could not have people tracking me, because there must have been close to 50 or 60 people when you consider all my circles,
Yeah.
of influence out there, and I knew that,
Yeah.
and so it was like, I'm not quitting. I mean, I can die because everyone could understand. Okay, he couldn't finish because he died.
Yeah.
I'm not going to have to break any records. I don't have to win my age category, but I'm going to finish.
Yep.
And so many morning workouts. I mean, there were bike rides of 70, 80, 100 miles, depending on the weekend. And I'm up 2:33 in the morning, and I'm the only one on the road.
Yeah, for sure.
Semi, and a rational person would say, "What are you doing?" And for me, it was I want to get it done so then I'm fully available for my wife on Saturday or on Sunday.
And it falls back into the commitment. Like I'm committed to this, And when I want to go back, whenever you said you break your day down into segments, like what do those segments look like? Are they like 4-hour segments, 6-hour segments, or just?
Well, it's a fair question, but not a good answer because it's different every day.
Yeah.
There are days. There was the other day at CrossFit, and you're like, "What did you do already today?" And I'm like, "Actually, I slept in."
Yeah.
And I'm learning that part of the success of endurance sports is active recovery and letting yourself. And so I really fail on that. I probably averaged about anywhere from 3.5 to 5.5 hours on a typical day this last year during my training
Of sleep?
of sleep.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
But then about once a week, then I'll have a catch up, and I might sleep 10 hours,
Yeah.
but not 20 hours. I mean 10 hours, and then I get back to the 5 hours or whatever. So I'm trying this year, intentionally trying to make it closer to 7 or 8. I've got one of those, Zach Cox influence whoop whoop band
Oh,
strap,
yep.
and and so I'm trying to learn with that, and because it does track your deep sleep and all those kind of levels.
Yep. That's awesome. And so to go off track a little bit, just got a few questions, with this group of Structure You, we talk a lot about fitness and health and stuff like that, but then owning your own business, just habits and routines, and one of my questions is, so like if you could go back to your 21-year-old self, is there anything that you would do differently or focus on more than what you did in the past? Looking back now at 53 years old, is there anything that you would do differently?
Yeah, I definitely would have. I would have controlled debt more. I'm a major risk taker when it comes to businesses and investments. I bought a building that had a Blimpie sub shop. The owner died. He happened to be a golf partner of my dad, and at the time, and his wife, was a history teacher, and she wasn't going to be able to figure it out. So, I jumped in, threw money in there, totally, tore the whole place down and rebuilt it so it was all brand new. Brought a manager from what used to be called What's Cooking to run it with the idea that he was going to own it in a few years. And long story short was that was a $250,000 investment that went south for me.
Really?
And so I would tell my 21-year-old self about, know what you're going to be focused at, and then don't try to be everything to everybody. Because that was a charity act of trying to help, and I should have just let it go under. And because I didn't want to make sandwiches, and I didn't,
Yeah.
And I'd get different people in there, but there was large things of turkey and ham just disappearing. And,
Really?
and the money was always short. And you could have cameras, but people can figure that stuff out. And so when it feels like babysitting too much, you just kind of shut it down and pivot. And I've always been able to have a tenant in that building still today. And so, I tried to be something. I tried to be in fast foods, but that's not who I am.
Yeah.
And so I had to learn that. And I would quickly tell my 21-year-old self, that and maybe not buy as many apartment buildings in Charleston because the enrollment's going to tank.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny.
A
But I
lot
think,
more than you think.
you make a good point though on being focused, almost like staying in your lane. Cause there's times in my life where I get these wild hairs. I'm like, I'm going to do this, this, and this. And then I'll start it, but I'm so scatterbrained doing all different types of things that I need to hone it all back in to just focus. I think there's a book called The One Thing where you literally just focus on the one thing. And then I feel like whenever I do focus on one thing, I have significant results, and I'll just stay in my lane instead of just being scatterbrained, trying to do 5 things instead of just focusing on one.
Yeah, I think that is really important. And there's 1,000 ways to make money. I'm proud of that fact. I used to teach at Eastern in the School of Business and with accounting and entrepreneurship. I love
No
the
kidding.
study. Yeah, I love the study of entrepreneurship. I'm proud to say, I was a multimillionaire. I had wanted to be by the time I was 25, and I achieved that. And then I wanted to be worth 10 million by the age of 40. And we did that, and then it's 100 million. And now I'm kind of giving up on the 100 million because my focus has been, I realized at the end of the day that I don't want to work 15-hour days. I want to have the balance of working out, of being there for my wife, with my wife, and if it's a chick flick movie in the night before I pass out, well, that's something she needs.
Yeah. With that said, everybody's definition of success is different. So I feel like you've already said it, but has your definition of a success changed over the years as you evolved into different beings?
Absolutely has.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that we so much get stuck on, at least in my personal life, I would get stuck on, well, success is the amount of money I have in the bank, or what's my net worth, or things like that. But then now that I have young kids and I talk to older people that are successful, and they're like, I wish I could have went back and had more time with my kids. So I'm trying to, at my age of 37, having a 7, 5, and a 4-year-old, I'm trying to be more diligent on spending quality time with them, but also finding the balance, because I still enjoy the process of making money. Entrepreneurship is just a blast for me. That's why I get scatterbrained sometimes, because I want everything. Like, every new idea sounds fun, but I have to stay focused, but also I have to find the balance with my wife and kids and all that stuff. So, it's just a matter of finding balance. And, like you said, success is just different all the time almost.
Yeah. No, I think that's where you have your priority list, right? And so for us, it's God, family, work, and
Yep.
and work many times in my life has been pushed to number one, and with it came, I've been to Super Bowls, I've been on private jets, I've been to Vegas trips that you only see in Hollywood movies, and it all of that was just meaningless and empty when you weren't doing, when you didn't have God first and the family as a close second.
And I think even just from talking to you now, I think you'd almost put your fitness and health before work now, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. I mean,
Yeah.
we're comfortable. We're very blessed. We do have struggles with the enrollment being down so much. All properties need to have maintenance all the time, and then we furnish our places, so those only last so long. And so every 5 years, you're changing out different units. But none of that's. I mean, we're comfortable where we just keep working. I do have to work.
Yep.
I can take vacations and I can go anywhere and I can do nice stuff. But if I tried to be gone more than 3 weeks, we would have some serious hemorrhaging, because people look to me for decisions and look to me to know how to handle certain crises. I wish insurance would be perfect, but as you know, and I definitely know, it's riddled with problems, red tape, third country call centers.
Oh, yeah.
That you're on hold for an hour. And so I have to have a team to do that, because I'm not going to do that. But
Yeah.
But I don't want our clients to have to do it. And that's how we get more clients, is because we hold their hands and we help. And we'll do a conference call, but we'll say, hey, Mike, we're going to figure this health claim out. This is going to take a while to get online with them, but as soon as I'm online, I'm going to call you. And when you see it's my number, I need you to click on, and we'll do a conference call. Well, any entrepreneur who's busy will say, okay, if you're going to help me fix this, as soon as you call, I'll take it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's my support team, but I mean, they have to have that response, but then it can work, and then we can make it right, and then we can move on.
Oh, dude, talking to you, I get so many questions that pop up, and I know our time's limited, so I'm going to keep it to a minimum. But I love the aspect of you understand that insurance, basically any service-oriented business, is customer service. If your client knows that you're going out of your way to take care of them, you can make a lot of money. I feel like it's just as simple as that. If the customer understands that you're going to take care of them and do what it takes to make them happy, and is the customer always right? No, but as long as they know you care, then I feel like they're more than willing to bend over backwards and pay you what you're worth.
Yeah, I mean, the money just always takes care of itself.
It really does.
Talked on our runs. We do have a lot of lost leaders of that time waiting on hold for Medicare or whatever, that's not making us money.
Yeah.
But keeping a client, retaining a client makes us money, and then helping do the things that other agents won't do, that gives us a lot of referrals.
For
And,
sure.
and it's hard to put in terms exactly what that's worth, but to us, it's our mission. We're helping, and God has just blessed us. So the money just comes if you do right by people.
For sure. And so all I got is two more questions. So if you were go into the school system today and you could add a curriculum or change a curriculum, what's one thing you think that this younger generation in high school, what should they be learning?
I think that there is a loser and a winner. I think the current generation, whether you use the term snowflake or whatever, that there's just I really fear for the youth that they don't understand what adversity and struggle really is.
Yeah.
And that you can overcome it and you can rise above it. Because I think, I see that sometimes in the youth that they just are quick to quit, and and so then that affects their quality of our sports and stuff like that. And so I can't, if the curriculum, I guess an entrepreneurial curriculum, and where you would do what I did at the college level is I used my own money, but you can look on whatever teacher. There's some website that you'll see people, they rank teachers, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm still there, I believe. But one of the comments is I give out a lot of money in classes, but it's because I'm having them compete, and they're competing every class period. And it's not everybody; it's selected people. And then I do that through a semester. I make sure I get everybody involved 5-6 times throughout the semester. And so you got to be there to be selected. And you're talking about $100, $200 kind of payout for just coming to class. And
that's awesome.
Outperforming whoever you're going against. And so, I mean, we did a lot of role playing, a lot of scenarios. There were winners, there were losers. We then lifted up the losers, and then we tried to see, and then of course those were going to be people I was going to call right back on, sooner than later, and eventually they'd become winners. And I'm not trying to be harsh with the words. It's just I think that's something that our youth is missing. And everybody gets a participation shirt or medal, but it doesn't help you.
That's as well as I do, that's just not the way the real world works. I've been having with my young kids, I've been having these hard conversations now that this world's never going to be fair. Like the other day, they were acting up. This crazy story, not crazy, but just a quick story. They were acting just so disrespectful that we kept them home from gymnastics that night because they love gymnastics. And my two daughters, they're really good at what they do, but hard lesson learned, if you don't act a certain way and do what your parents ask you to do, you got to pay the price. And there was a lot of times before where I would bend over backwards and be like, well, I'll just let it slide this time. But I'm like, as a parent, I got to stand up and let them know that they just can't do these types of things and get away with stuff. And it's going to be okay, or brushed under the rug. They were upset.
Good. I think that's okay.
But that's even hard as a parent because you don't want to do that. I don't want to keep them from something that they're striving at and doing good at. Like, I don't want that, but I also have to let them know that there's going to be consequences for your actions. I think that, like you said, the whatever you want to call them, the snowflake generation or whatever, there's a winner and there's a loser. And life's not always going to be fair, and you still got to roll with it. No,
I agree, and I think. They all figure it out. It's just trying to help them figure it out sooner.
Yes.
And, and I mentioned the tries with my two children, and I've talked to you privately. I have a third child, and my third child's my wild child. And my third child is the one that is choosing life choices that are making her grow up very quickly at age 19 now, but that started maybe at age 17. And she's had a lot of consequences that she's had to be independent and figure it out. We do have unconditional love. We do always step in and help as she's making better choices or good choices. Then we reward that and help that. And yet, just like God has the ability to bless us however He wants, I see that similar relationship with my children. That in a heartbeat, I could make all her problems, financial problems, go away.
Yeah.
But she's not yet doing all the right things to warrant that. And and so it's just I don't have all that figured out.
And that's got to be hard as a parent, because you want, I don't want to see my kids struggle and go through hard times, but I know that them going through those hard times is going to make them stronger, all around. So figure it out, kids.
That's right.
But, okay, last question, Jeff. You have one book to recommend to people. What do you recommend?
Oh, it's so hard. I guess I knew you were going to ask me that, and then I got away from it. I have to lean on the guy you had on earlier, Jesse Walton. And maybe you had also mentioned those books, but I recently read Atomic Habits. It reiterates a lot of stuff we were talking about, but structuring your day, and most importantly, how to get rid of bad habits. And my bad habits are Klondike bars and chocolate treats at 8 o'clock at night or 9 o'clock at night, right before I go to bed, right when I don't need the sugar.
Yeah, yep, I hear you.
I'm on 3 days of being clean on that because of the CrossFit, lifestyle challenge. So
for sure,
maybe there's hope.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That book was good, and then the book also both of you have spoke about, but man's meaning to life, man's search for meaning.
Yep.
And you talk about someone who survived the Jewish concentration camps and is a psychologist and uses a psychologist approach to the book about not the bad things that happened, but how could one really endure that and still be optimistic and joyful and move forward in life. And boy, that could apply to anybody, no matter what your struggle is, what your addiction is, what you're dealing with. I mean, if that guy can see positivity and make a life out of what was left in his life. He lost all his family, everything in those concentration camps. So, I found that to be very powerful.
For sure. That's a hard book to read.
A little bit over my head, but very powerful.
Yeah. I found it's hard because I'm putting myself in that situation of how I would react, and I'm like, man, it was powerful. I like that book a lot. So, and that's probably one I need to go back and reread.
Yeah, I do. I mean, again, I'm really good at boasting today, but because I'm on a bike trainer or I'm running and there's audio books, I'm sure I don't comprehend everything, but I tend to listen to something 2 or 3 times, and generally I'll get most of it. But I'm able to go through, probably 2 to 3 books a month.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so, I'm an avid reader. I believe in it. I do listen more than read, only because of fatigue. I find that as I actually start reading,
I'll
fall asleep.
Yeah, that's funny. Well, Jeff, I appreciate you taking the time out of your day to hang out with us for a little bit and talk. I was sitting here taking notes. If you saw me ever write, and I got a lot of gold nuggets out of here, so I appreciate it. And I'm gonna, if it's okay with you, I'll put a link to your company down here so that if anybody has any questions, they can get a hold of you. That'd be all right?
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to help. Appreciate the plug, and I'll see you at CrossFit.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Jeff.
All right. Bye.